Shabbat Shalom. As we are here on this Shabbat, it is the beginning of our new cycle. We are right at the beginning of Genesis. And how wonderful it is that right at the beginning of Genesis, we run into a major problem. How many of you think that Torah is simple? No one's raising their hand in here. I'm guessing no one out there is raising their hand either. The Torah is intricate, it's complicated, but it's also contrary, and it has contradictions and paradox. And let's face it, the Torah doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up. I mean, they went through, if you think about the Exodus and Parshat Terumah, you get all of these long instructions on how to build the tabernacle. But if you actually tried to put the tabernacle together, do I have any fans of the British Baking Championship? Yes, I've got Melinda here. Watch it. It is absolutely fabulous. And they have a technical challenge where they get everybody has to bake the same things. They're given the same ingredients, and they only get part of the recipe. They have to figure out the rest from their own knowledge and experience or guesswork. And the Torah is like that, right? That's Noah. They, build him an arky. You've heard that, known as shaking her head. You've heard that before. In fact, the directions that Noah gets will not build much of a boat. Okay, so you got all these problems. And in here in Genesis, we get one of those problems immediately. You have in Genesis 1, right? What's in the first chapter of Genesis? Day 1, let there be light, and then you get day 2, day 3. What day are humans created? Humans are created on day 6. However, on day 3, we read, God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind, that the earth to bear fruit with the seed in it. And it was. And the earth brought forth the vegetation, seed-bearing plants of every kind, the trees of every kind bearing fruit with the seed in it. God saw that this was good, and there was evening, there was morning, the third day. Okay, so y'all good. Third day, trees and plants. Humans, the sixth day. Plants, day 3. Humans, day 6. Y'all are good so far. Good. Genesis 2 reads, when there was no shrub on the field yet on the earth, and no grasses of the field yet sprouted, because the eternal God had not sent rain upon the earth, and there was no human to till the soil, but a flow would well up from the ground and water the whole surface of the earth. The eternal God formed human earthling from the dust of the earth. God blew into Adam's nostrils the breath of life, and the earthling became a living being. Our eternal God planted a garden of Eden in the east and placed it there, the human that the eternal had formed. Did you catch that? Because day 3 in Genesis 1, plants, day 6, human beings. But in Genesis 2, no plants, human being, and then plants. It's a contradiction. It's a paradox. You can't have two competing Genesis stories. It doesn't make any sense, right? And it's a problem, and we see this in all these paradoxes and contrariness and contradictions all throughout Torah. And so, it leads me to a beautiful moment in the science fiction show Serenity. Not necessarily recommending it unless you really like science fiction. It is kind of an interesting science fiction TV show from the 2000s, I'm pretty sure. But in Serenity, one of the characters, Firefly. Serenity is the ship. Firefly is the name of the show. And in Firefly, it's a freighter with a ragtag fugitive crew. And you've got the muscle, and you've got the cowboy, and you have the pastor, the minister, and you've got the superhero, and you have the person that's on the run that won't tell you their story. You get all of these rather incredible things that are in Firefly. And I mentioned there was a woman who's the superhero, right? She has all of these incredible powers, her brain, but she's a little addled because of the science experiment that gave her the superpowers. And there's a preacher on board. And what do preachers carry with them? Bibles. Well, the young woman who's got the superpowers, whose brain is a little addled, she read the Bible and she was confused by it because it's confusing. And so the next time she sees the preacher, she's holding it and it is cut and pasted and glued because she made it so it would make sense. So that's the solution for Torah. They're nodding to that. I don't recommend that. We're not going to tear apart the Torah. The rabbis actually do something quite interesting. And what they do, what they do, which is so incredible and fascinating, is instead of taking the Torah apart, they weave new threads in and bring different pieces of story in. And it's not just to solve the problems and potential paradoxes and contradictions in the text. They actually do something that to me is so interesting and instructive to us. What they do, so we have this problem, Genesis 1, day 3, plants, day 6 is humans, in Genesis 2, humans, and then plants. And the rabbis say this, they note the difference, and God planted the seeds and brought forth vegetation. Why is the cycle of planting and growing repeated in Genesis 2? And the commentary says this from Rashi. God had not sent rain upon the earth. God had not sent rain because there was no human to work the soil, no one to recognize the utility of rain. When Adam was created, he recognized the importance of the world. He prayed, rain fell, causing the trees and the vegetation to grow. So what was there before? What was there before is even when there was the soil below on day 3, God put the seeds and all the potential life is in the soil ready to go. But it isn't until human is there that the rains fall and that potential actually comes to life. And so in doing that, with that very simple and incredible teaching, the rabbis not just solve the problem, how can you have day 3 plants and day humans in one place and then it gets reversed in another place? Because the potential and the seeds are in the soil and it's just waiting for the human and the rain. But they also do, in solving that problem, they also teach something very simple and incredible. The rabbis don't just try to make things work, they do so in such a way to teach us how to be better human beings. There's a beautiful piece that in one place in Genesis it says humans will have dominion over the earth, and the other it says that we're supposed to till and tend and be shomrei adamah, guardians of the earth. With this midrash, they give us the balance. Do we start with the dominion, or do we go to till and tend, being shomrei adamah? And what is the midrash in solving this problem that they found between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2? They said, what is the role of the human being? To recognize the importance and the value of rain and be there ready so that when those plants come forth, they take the responsibility, not the authority to rule over the earth, but the responsibility for caring for this life that God is bringing forth. That is an incredible way of thinking about Genesis and about these two creation stories, about thinking about them and our role. And to me, it's something that I always have to remember, especially in this day and age, when there are so many challenges, when there are so many problems and there are so many conflicts. Can we stop for just a moment? When we find ourselves in one of these moments of conflict, one of these moments of challenge, these moments of disagreement, and not just solve the problem, but do so in a way, look for solutions, look for opportunities, look for ways that get us past those moments of challenge that don't just make the problem go away, but in the process of doing it, in the process of looking for those moments of resolution, actually help us and the other people around us that are engaged in that experience learn how to be the best human beings we can. That is the way. As we live here, as we read here this experience of Genesis as Adam, the human being, comes into this world to connect with this moment of creation and bring that vision of shalom, of wholeness and harmony and peace into our world. Amen. Shabbat shalom.